Welcome to Schliersee in the far south of Bavaria. I've come here today for my first proper training run of the year, and I'm going to talk about my training plan for the rest of this year and my training goals.
Stop! This man is lying to you. Yes, he may be really good looking with the body of a statue, but all of these amazing training plans may never happen. Why? Because I'm him, and I know that I am lazy.
I'm going to talk about my most important training goal last, so stick around to the end so you can find out what it was.
There are a whole lot of things I like to do, and I'd rather be doing almost any of them than go training. After all, why would I want to go running when I could be doing this? So there's only one possible way that I can keep up this training plan, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but first, let's hear about the plan itself.
As this gets to be so hard. I've come to the end of my rest period. November, December, I did minimal amount of exercise and the maximum amount of eating turkey and trifle and drinking too much. So now I am very fat and unfit. My first step in setting up my training plan for the rest of this year is to establish where I am right now. That's my base, off which I've got to work up. How do I do that? Well, I run around a bit and see how I feel. So like today, I should be running for only an hour and a half with one very straightforward climb. That'll tell me how I feel, and then I should know based on experience where I am right now. And so during this run, I'll be monitoring things like my breathing, like my heart rate, mostly how my body feels at the end of it, and also how it feels tomorrow, how much pain I'm in.
Based on my experience, I assessed my current training capacity, which is the amount I can do right now without needing to push hard or without a long recovery. I decided my starting point is about 4 hours of running per week, plus some strength and flexibility. So far that's not too much of a challenge to my laziness, as it still gives me time for what I want. But for my next step, I needed to assess where I needed to be.
Having established my training base, my next step will be to look at where my peaks are going to be, and that will obviously coincide with the main races that I'm doing this year.
This year I've entered 2 ultra trails. Innsbruck at the start of May, and Wicklow at the end of September. This means I've got 4 months to achieve peak fitness for Innsbruck, followed by a very necessary recovery period, and then 4 more months to build up again for Wicklow. I may also do some small races, but those will be stepping stones on the way to the main events. Of course, all this depends on whether I get injured, or distracted by something important, or just decide to focus on my music career instead.
No, she doesn't know what she's missing.
Starting from my base, I don't intend increasing my weekly amount by more than 10% per week. That's a safe margin. If you try to do too much too soon, you're guaranteed to injure yourself.
Over the next 4 months, I aim to go from 4 hours of running per week to something more like 10 hours per week. The only way to do that without injuring myself is to increase gradually by something between 5 and 10% every week. But it's not just running. What else do I have to do?
Strength training is something everybody needs to do for the sake of their general health and their bone health especially. A trail like Innsbruck, 2,500 meters up, 2,500 meters down, I need to have strong legs. 275 meters of climb from here, straight up. This helps put my body through a complete range of effort.
As well as the long, slow runs, I've also got to do a certain amount of high-intensity training. This is where I push my body to the maximum. It builds lactate tolerance and helps prepare me for the hard parts of the course.
Now, the greatest risk in training is always injury. There's no point training too hard. If that gives you an injury, that puts you out of training for the next 4 weeks. And you must be absolutely aware of what your body is telling you at all times. If you feel the beginning, a warning signal coming from your body, do not ignore it.
That sounds like a lot. After all, the easiest way not to get injured is to do nothing at all. Considering all the other distractions that are available to me, how can I possibly make myself do any of that?
So on to my final training goal of the year, and that is simply, it has to be fun. I have to enjoy what I'm doing, otherwise what's the point, really? If it's not fun, I won't do it. If it's boring, tedious, repetitive, I'll quit, and I don't want that. So one of my training goals this year is to make sure it's always interesting. I'm going to try to come out to as many interesting or beautiful places as I can, vary my routes, vary my type of training. I really just try to enjoy myself. Because if you don't enjoy yourself, what's the point?
So there you have it. I am clever and I am lazy. So if I don't look forward to doing a thing, I'll invent reasons not to. But if I can find ways to make it fun and interesting, I will do it. And if I do, I'll see you out there.
I was so busy looking at the camera, I missed the gate. That's probably bad. It's probably a dangerous thing.